Hey there, viewers. It's the day after I reset the timing. I had to let it sit for around 24 hours because I had to use some Permatex under the valve cover. So I'm in the car, obviously, and I'm getting ready to start it up for the first time since then. And I've got my Encore down here. And I've got a custom data list pulled up with all of the important parameters that I think indicated at the very beginning that I was having a big problem. One of the biggest was the mass airflow. It was double. MAP was way off. And of course, the one that concerned me the most was this absolute load value. It was up around 30. So I'm going to start it up, and it'll be very easy to tell. I'll be able to tell instantly as soon as it starts whether or not we're on the right track. What was happening before when the timing was off was that the RPMs would climb up to about 1,000 and then immediately drop down. It never warmed up, or it didn't do the normal startup routine that you would expect with a cold engine, where the RPMs would come up to 1,500 and sit there, and as the engine warmed up, the RPMs would come down. So it never did do that. So once we start it up, we'll know instantly if this thing is fixed and ready to go. So here we go. Well, that's a fix. This engine is running, and we are good to go. And if the data parameters look good, then we can confidently say that this swap is done. So let's look at some of the numbers. It's still not warmed up yet, so some of the numbers will still be off, but we'll be able to tell pretty quickly. So let's take a look. Alright, so as you can see over here, Barrow's fine, spark advance is fine, manifold pressure looks right, short-term fuel trim at startup, that doesn't surprise me, long-term looks great, spark advance, so that's our timing, Barrow, and of course here you can see we're still warming up. Now the mass airflow is obviously still high. That's because the RPMs are up there. So we'll watch for a couple of seconds as the RPMs come down, and once we get to around 600 RPM, then then we'll know. But I can already tell this engine is running completely different. It's totally smooth. It's warming up normally. And all of these numbers are looking really, really good. So coolant temperature's already at 108. RPM's now down to about 900. And I can already see that the mass airflow is coming down to where it should be. It should be around 2.4 at 650 RPM. I'm going to go ahead and give it a little bit of a throttle blip. And if it responds to the throttle, then we're in good shape. Yep. Absolutely fixed. This car is fixed, guys. So that's confirmation. The throttle response is there, and it wasn't before. So I'm very confident. I'm totally confident. The only thing left is to let it warm up a little bit, double check these numbers, and then take it for a ride. All right, it's been a few minutes and we are fully warmed up here, so I want to show you these PIDs. And this is the final indicator that we are in great shape and that the swap is done. So let's take a look. So we're at 174 degrees. Long-term trim is about 0. Short-term is fluctuating right around 0. Spark advance, or our timing, is showing to be 8.5. It's fluctuating. It changes. And here are the two things that, to me, after the, problems before, that indicated that I was in serious trouble. The absolute load at idle was up around 35%. And the mass airflow was double at 4.2 grams per second. And now you can see that they're right in spec. These are exactly what the factory service manual says that they should be. And amazingly, you can see that, excuse me, that long-term trim and short-term trim are essentially 0. So we are done, guys. The 3 is fixed. The swap is complete. All that's left to do now is, like I said before, have a sweet test drive, and we're done. Well, viewers, the swap is complete. As you can see behind me, the car's no longer in its usual spot. My son just drove off. And he and I just had a brief conversation, and he said everything's working perfectly. There's no problems whatsoever. No check engine lights, no rattles, no leaks, no nothing. I still need to drive the car myself, just for my own satisfaction and to sort of feel everything out. But I can tell that everything's running really, really well. And you can see from the PIDs that I showed you earlier that, performance-wise, everything is dead on right where it's supposed to be. So I just wanted to take this time to say thank you for coming along with me. I realized that this wasn't a very polished video series, but that never was really the intention. My intention was only to take people along as I did the swap, and to, in the long run, hopefully help people who might want to do this themselves. I found that there were virtually no resources for swaps available. There's one or two here and there, but I never really came across a series that someone had made where they kind of took you through it from beginning to end, and shared the details along the way to give you a sort of a good feel for what to expect. So I hope that I did that with this series, and I do have an idea to do another series specifically on the timing of these engines. I still have the old 2.3 here in the garage, and if I can, I think I'd like to just do a run through of how to set the timing, because there's no real good resources on YouTube for how to do the timing on these things. Again, just like the swaps, there's some things here and there, but there's nothing complete, or nothing that seems kind of, I guess, for lack of a better term, real world on how to do the timing. So I might do that, so maybe you can look for that in the future. Otherwise, I want to take an opportunity to thank those of you who showed interest in helping me when the going got tough. Keith, Ivan, Tyler, and Noah, I really appreciate your feedback. And, most of all, your encouragement, because there were times when, I just wanted to throw my hands up. But by persevering and not doubting myself, I was able to take it from beginning to end by myself. And that's a great feeling. So this swap is done. And thanks for watching.